Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. On this video, I'm going to knock out T-top seals. I want you to know that there are a lot of good resources on T-top seal videos. Steve V for one has a really good one. It's quick, so if you want to get right to the point, I'd say definitely watch his. One thing that I'd like to show you is the refurbishment process of this. We are knocking down and removing old seals, and underneath that, there's going to be rust, there's going to be old adhesive material that we're going to need to clean up, wire wheel, get rid of, even repaint, so we can get to a point where we can install everything fresh and new on the car. It's the boring stuff, but you need to know what you're going to get into if you want to tackle it on your own. So let's get to it. Besides common hand tools, you will need a heat gun, scraper set, and a set of pick tools. For materials, you'll need weather strip adhesive and 3M foam tape. You can find this at AutoZone, Amazon, or Walmart. I'm starting off by removing the stainless steel top plates. There are 4 Phillips head screws holding each side in. And you know what? It may not feel like it, but replacing seals on a car that needs paint is a luxury. I don't have to be careful with how I'm prying. And I realize that most of you want to protect the paint, and I'll call out things that you can do to help. First off, it would be a good idea to protect the work area. Use plastic sheathing like drop cloths to protect the dash, the seats, and the carpet. You really thank yourself later. Blue painter's tape around the trim and body panels. Any area that you'll be scraping near, it's not required, but it's a good idea in case you slip with your tool. When removing seals, your best friend is a heat gun. I'm using my Harbor Freight Warrior heat gun to warm up the rubber and adhesive. It's a necessary step to remove all of the old rubber. The trim pieces are thin and flimsy, so try not to use them as leverage points to pry. Focus more on using a narrow plastic scraper, screwdriver, or a chisel to separate the rubber from the metal. For technique, try to follow the channel with the tool and don't pry perpendicularly like I am here. For the front and rear corners of the seal, unscrew the 2 screws in the upper corner, remove the 2 push pins below at the end of the seal, and remove the seal in a similar manner. Pro tip, for the center section, just cut the seal and scrape the seal off on your bench. And to remove that center section, there are 6 screws marked in green and then 4 screws marked in blue. After that center section is loose or out of the way, you can finally concentrate on getting the trim pieces out. There are about 5 screws on each side, and once you loosen those, the trim pieces will rise and release. There may be some adhesive holding it in, but just wiggle it, it'll fall free. You're going to need a pick tool to get at some of the adhesive that's inside of the screw hole, but have a really good quality screwdriver so you can get these screws loose. Before you get that center bar section out, you have to concentrate on the lower pieces of metal as well. There are 4 screws on that lower piece and then 3 on this one. Once you get everything out of the way, all of the trim pieces will come out. All right, T-top seals are off. I've gotten the trim pieces off, and take a look at all of this. Wow. Yes, that is foam. So the previous owner was going to just foam it up and then fiberglass and Bondo over it. We don't do those types of things around here. So I am cutting away all of this rusty metal. We're gonna treat it. We're going to replace it. We're gonna hand fabricate some new metal to go underneath there. And I have a replacement header panel that'll go right into place. And I've already replaced all of the rusty metal in a previous episode, so click the link above and check that one out. And because my metal looked like this before, I had to replace the entire T-top header panel. But if yours is in better shape, you can get away with just repairing the seal retention metal. Go that route. You'll still have to do some metal fabrication and welding, but you won't have to do all of this. Now, with all the trim pieces removed, we can finally get into steel refurbishment. There's going to be paint, there's going to be rust on the front and back of these pieces, and you're going to need to grind them clean, sand them to the point where they're ready to accept new primer and paint. Don't rush this section. It's going to be difficult, it's going to be tedious, but you can do it. Anything that needs to be replaced, you can always find online. Looking at how difficult this job is, why not pay a little bit extra and get stainless steel T-top components? That way they're known not to rust, and you'll only have to do this once. I'm using Rolock discs on a die grinder. You can get these discs in fine, medium, and coarse. Only use the fine. Because these components are so thin, you can do some real damage if you get something that's too coarse. All right, so we've gotten rid of all of the rubber, and now we just got to clean up everything. We got rust, we've got bits of adhesive stuck here, and we need to get everything cleaned and painted and, of course, ready to go back on the car. So here's what I recommend. You should use something like this, and that'll allow you to get down and into the channels here. If you have that on an angle grinder, that'd be even better. I know the speed of this is going to kill me by being so slow. So I think something like this would be really good about getting in deep here. But also I got to clean all of this up so I can paint it anyway. So I don't really care especially about the top, but it's all got to be stripped down and sanded. So let's get at that now. All right, so here it is, all sanded down. Everything is nice and smooth. I got a few imperfections here, and I also have a couple of rust spots here and right down in there. So instead of adding metal to it, this is like real thin metal right here. I'm gonna use some JB Weld just to build up the surface. And then once I primer and paint it, it'll be good to go. So I'll just mix that up, lay it on, move on to the next thing. I only promote products I believe in. And usually I use Rust-Oleum rust converter that sprays on black. I'm trying a new clear rust converter, and I'll tout them out if it works over time, but just not comfortable saying the name and the brand right now. But feel free to use any rust converter that you deem worthy around here before you put on the JB Weld. Now that we've taken care of the rust on all of these pieces, we can start to build things back up. Use a primer that you feel comfortable with. I'm using Rattle Can 2K primer. Spray that down, make sure you get good coverage. A couple of coats will do. And then follow it up with SEM flat black trim paint. That works well for me. You can try Rust-Oleum if you'd like. I've used flat Rust-Oleum with good results, but I'm going with SEM on this one. And what I'm gonna start off with is the TTop accompanying trim. That is all of the trim that goes along the front, the rear, the sides of the windows, everything that allows me to put window seals on. Now, it's gonna be a rainy weekend at Carlisle, so I need to make sure I got seals on. I wanted this to be a live video that I did at Carlisle, but I'm gonna need to make sure I get everything there in dry condition, and that's not gonna help if I don't have seals on. So I'm gonna start off with these two side pieces. So one goes right here, just like that. And same thing to go on the other side. Now, looking at the back, you're gonna need to use foam tape. I ripped off the old tape here. I'm gonna clean it up just a little bit, replace it with some 3M foam tape, and then adhere it there. It's not for sealing, it's just to create a little bit of separation between two metals. So let's get that on. I'll get my screws out and I can get everything bolted to the car. All right, so I have two pieces of metal trim in, the long bar that goes across, and then this one that comes down. And now I can put this piece right on top. And after I screw that in with the three screws here, it'll be secured against here, and then I can run my weather stripping seal. I'll just have to replicate it all on the other side, and then we'll be able to have glass seals come all the way in. Before I get those interior pieces in, I want to show you this. This is the mechanism that the T-top lock slides into. It goes right here, kind of like this, but on the other side. And remember, I had a lot of rust on my A-pillar section, so this is how it came off. And I couldn't reuse these screws clearly. So I went on Amazon and I got these. Same thread pitch, same screw head. So it's gonna sit real flush, real nice. I'll leave a link in the description in case you want some. They're Eastlow brand, and they only come in packages of 25. So that just means I got more turbo Buicks to fix. As I'm letting some of this stuff dry, it's all in primer for now. I'm going to show you what it's going to look like to install T-top seals on the front corner of your header panel. So if you take a look at the seal, you'll see two edges, you know, one right here and then the other one right there. And just like window seals, they tuck into channels. So they'll tuck into this channel underneath here and underneath here. Now remember, I replaced this header panel already, so I had to drill new holes in here. So when you're drilling new holes, you want to follow the contour of the header panel, of course, but you want to make sure that there's going to be a little bit of a lip there for this stuff to fall in under, especially near the edges, because we're going to use window adhesive to secure things on the edges. Maybe I'll put some in the middle, but it's not really needed. But you really want to make sure that you're able to fit everything properly, and having good gaps for the seals is important. So you can tell that this is going to be where this goes, because you have one big hole and one little hole. The big hole is always leading toward the windshield. So you're going to install it, you know, kind of like so. And then you're going to fit the lower seal that comes down to the driver glass in between this channel and this channel here. And I already went over how you're gonna fit it in here. Where I put adhesive here, 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 and here. Basically, any time that you're making a 90-degree angle, you wanna install some sort of weather strip adhesive. Now, when it comes to the tool that you'll need, if you watch my other video, you know the $1.99 Pittsburgh Harbor Freight tool set. This is the gem that you need. This is how it goes down. I have my seal. I got my leading hole. I'm gonna set this up top here, just so it can kind of rest and stay up there. All right. I'm gonna apply it dry first, just to show you how it goes down, because adhesive can get really messy. So you get everything set, and here's how you work it. You're gonna have the lip that comes in on this side. You're gonna grab the seal like this and then rotate it in. All right, so right now, the lip of that seal is all the way in. And then you're gonna take this one, you're gonna peel back here and get at the front of that seal and massage it in with the rounded edge, not the flat tip, but with the rounded edge of your Harbor Freight tool. And if you do it right, you'll feel it start to settle in and even like go underneath that trim piece. And you know you're good. And what I do is I start with this side and I roll it like that. So then I'm never gouging the seal. And when it comes out clean, and the seal is right underneath where it's supposed to be. Let me show you. So we end up with our seal like that on that side, and it's underneath the metal on this side. And that's why it's really important to apply that adhesive so you can have it really nice and flush up against it. And you're just gonna go with that plan all the way down to A-pillar. It always makes sense to roll in the hardest side, and the hardest side is the one that's facing away from you on the windshield. So I'm gonna roll it in like this, and then try to tuck in this side with my tool. It's really boring and repetitive, but once you nail it, it goes by really quickly. So I'm just gonna knock out as much as I can while I wait for everything here to dry, and then I can get it painted black, and that's all you need to know. Okay, so I've gotten enough of the corner dry mocked in so I could show you what this looks like. Okay, and what I'm looking for is, I'm looking for max coverage on this lip right here. I'm also looking for it to tuck in nicely right here. So that feels natural to me. And if you haven't replaced any of this metal already, then great. You already know where the holes are gonna go. They're gonna go where they were before, assuming that your seal looks the same as factory. But everything here gets self-tapping screws. I know that some kits do come with push pins on this edge down here and that edge down there, but there's so much variation to each kit. I've been burned before on these, so what I do is I just go self-tappers, and yeah, haven't been burned since. If you want to know what self-tappers look like, that's them right here. So I keep these by the 100 pack, so it'll be easy for me to pop them in. And it really is just rinse and repeat. I'll cut you back on if there's something else I want to show you, but you just follow that trend all the way around. I found a quick shortcut that I want to share with you guys. Once you start to get away from where the adhesive is, maybe right about here or so, you can start to unscrew the trim pieces and lift them up. And that way you can work the seal in and then come back with the metal and clamp the metal over the little ridge here. It'll save you a lot of time from having to work that pick tool all the way down, and it'll get us to the halfway point real easy. So let's do that. Okay, so on the back side, here's where you need to lay adhesive: here, 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 and in there. So great 90-degree angle here where you need to place it, and of course at the edges. I forgot to mention that earlier, but you need to put them at the edges as well. I look like I'm ready to tear up the streets, but there's only 3 pieces needed left to go in, and that is the spine for the T-tops and the finish panels for the front. And as you can see, it was raining and I had a bit of a mishap, so yeah, everything is messed up here. But not to worry, what I'll do is I'll spray them right after they're installed. And you don't have to wait. You can actually put the spine in first and then put the seals on. But I was just trying to kill as much time as possible. So basically, you'll apply all the weather strip adhesive to all the corners as necessary. And then when you get to this point, you can install the 4 screws for the spine. 2 of them will go right here, and then the other 2 will go right here. There's 1 bolt hole already ready for me. I just got to drill the second one. This is a new header panel, so that's probably why. But in any case, let's get this thing in place. We need to roll. Quick reminder, we need to replace the foam tape that's underneath all 3 of those metal pieces. Okay, there we go. And up here, yeah, wow, that lines up really well. And I could just make my 4th one right there. Here's how I apply it, just so you all can see it. So remember, the corner is right here for this one. I know some of you all are like me, you actually have to see it sometimes, but yeah, that's basically it. I know this is gonna look really weird once this video is released and after the fact, but the only reason I'm rushing right now and putting on parts that are subpar is because GM Carlisle is happening right now and I'm missing it, so. And the same way that you flip and you rotate the seal in, you're rotating the seal in that way. And make sure it sets in the base. There you go. Make sure it tucks in underneath here as well. There it is. And just keep that same energy all the way down the panel. I already put my adhesive down on the front, so right now I'm just rotating the seals in place. There's a little bit of tucking that you have to do with this as well. There we go. All right. Okay, other side. See, this is a good example of something that I want to lay some sealant on. I don't like the way that's sitting. So what I'm gonna do is right before I lay that, right before I lay the T-top on, I'm gonna put some adhesive right along here, and I'm gonna let the glass sandwich this toward the front, because as you can see, there's a lot of room for it to go. And on the other side, it's not laying down that way. It's pretty much up against the T-top metal. So let's do that. The secret to doing this is you do it about halfway down the metal, so that way you don't see this stuff showing. And you start a little bit further than you need to. Go. Okay, good. We still got these two metal pieces to go in, so let's drop those in right now. Ooh, no! Oh, man. Ugh. See, that's what happens when you're rushing. I was 2 screws away from a perfect install, and that just had to mess me up. I never showed you all how to replace the interior T-top seal, the one that actually goes on the glass piece. So you just have star screws on this side. There's a little bit of adhesive on the ends, and then just a similar, rocking motion to get it in. And of course, Harbor Freight pick tool for the win and get everything together. These are real easy. A couple of quick housekeeping items before we end the video. We need to talk about anti-rattling. And we have 2 things that aid in that. We have these anti-rattle strips that should come in your T-top seal kits, and they go just like this. The only reason I'm not sticking mine down now is because I want to repaint it because of that and the watermark stains that you see here. And then the second thing are these T-top bushings. Now, when you order them online, you have to hit 2 for quantity because you're only going to get 1 pair if you order 1. So don't make my mistake. Get 2 when you're checking out, and I'll make sure you get 4 bushings because you'll need 2 for each T-top. And they go in basically like this. And here's how you go about installing it. You would take the outside of this, you just grease it up real lightly. I would use actual grease and not WD-40, just so it's actually staying on the bushing. I usually use something like this, and then I tap it in lightly into each of the T-top bushing holes. And once you do that, you'll be all set. Hey, that's it. The T-top seals are installed. All of the metal has been refurbished. Everything looks great. And now I can put my T-top on and we can get out of here. Thanks for watching, sharing, and subscribing. Talk to you on the next one.